of him not giving a real press conference since the inauguration, I believe. So
how about, like, all right, this is always like a touchy thing to talk about because people get very, very either defensive or offensive and aggressive whenever you talk about this. I don't know what's going on with Joe Biden. I've listened to the man talk, and I'm told that he's got a speech impediment, that he's had it forever. He has a stutter, and this is how his coping mechanisms. But I heard the man talk for a long time in his career in politics, and he's never sounded like this, ever. He always sounded, even if he did stutter on occasion, he was in command, he spoke quickly, he was a pretty good speaker, actually. I would have never believed that he had had a stutter because he had done a really good job. Okay, he's got a stutter, and that's what's causing a lot of this. Fine. He's forgetting people's names. He forgot the name of the Department of Defense. He forgot the title of the Secretary of the Department of Defense. Okay, they happen, and he's not a young man. Like, fine, I'm not here to say anything. He hasn't had a press conference where he actually has to get asked questions yet, and it's been 50 days. It's not ordinary. It's very unusual for a president to do this, and for people to just be okay with that. Of like, wait, you have a responsibility. You need to be held accountable. The press is allowed and encouraged and required to ask you questions and check on what you're doing. And at the same time, the one press conference,
he's been doing stuff too, right? It's not like he's been sitting idly, right? So like there should have been
executive orders. Right, we're getting all this stuff out.
So the need is there. I think some questions are deserving.
And listen, love him or hate him, like him or dislike him, it is the most executive orders we've seen this early in a presidency ever, and not by a little. So even if you agree with all the executive orders, that's fine. We still should be able to ask the president about them as he's signing them into law. And then did you see the one where he was on the computer screen and then he said, and he looked around and he goes, so I guess I'll take some questions. Is that what I'm supposed to do? And they cut the feed. It went black. Like, guys, that's weird. What is going on? That's weird. I'm not here to tell you it's one way or another. That is unsettling. Of like, he apparently, depending on how you want to look at it, like, okay, if you're a big Biden supporter, he was open to taking it, but then they had technical difficulties and it cut out. Mm-hmm.
Convenient.
Right. Or the fact that he hasn't taken any questions whatsoever, that he's not doing press conferences where he's going to have any sort of adversarial contact with the press. And the one time that he apparently just forgot that he wasn't supposed to ask for questions, am I supposed to ask for questions? And then all of a sudden, he was gone. Just like that. If you're not a little bit concerned about this, I guess I don't understand. I'm not telling you like the guy is, it's Alzheimer's and he's being propped up by some cabal of Kamala Harris and Nancy Pelosi. Like, no, I think that's a little extreme, but it's still unsettling to me of like what I'm seeing out of our president.
It looks uncomfortable when he's talking. It looks like this dude shouldn't be talking.
Yeah, I mean,
and like I said, call me whatever you want. I mean, it looks like almost like borderline elder abuse.
Yeah, like somebody did say, one of the congressmen from the Republican side did say, like, look, this is elder abuse. This is insane.
Yeah, what are we doing?
This, like, you're propping this guy up. He is, and you keep hearing these hot mic moments of, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm signing. What did I just sign? I don't know what this is. Or turning around and looking around with the smile on his face of like, what do I do now?
Yeah, and people making a big deal, too. Like Saturday Night Live hasn't done a Biden thing since December. Remember when Jim Carrey was doing Biden? So that's kind of gone away. And so, I don't know.
It's just weird. Like,
it's just a weird confluence of events.
Yeah, like, put it on your radar at least. And if you're really okay with it, fine. But if Donald Trump went 50 days without a press conference, I feel like people would have been a little bit concerned. They would have talked about how it was so he just didn't do press conferences in the briefing room, and Jim Acosta was going nuts, even though he was doing press gaggles at like outside of airplanes and everything else. And Donald Trump did have a very adversarial relationship with the press, and honestly, both sides were to blame for it. They both were unnecessarily childish to each other, and then can't figure out how they got here. It's not a mystery, but
I loved it all.
I thought it was hilarious because it was.
I mean, I'm not a fan of the president or the media, so it was just great.
Yeah, like watching two people you don't like just beat each other up.
Throw food at each other. Yeah, it was great.
I agree with that. And now I just want to see, I want to know that Joe Biden is in control and command here because I've seen enough that I at least have doubts. Yeah. I'm not.
No, I think that we should I think what you said is right. We should keep this on our radar and, whenever this happens, we should be reevaluating whatever happens.
And here's the other problem. Now, when and if he does do a press conference, it's like must-watch TV. Like, I would actually tune in because now it's on my radar. Do you know how many times I listened to President Trump talk to the media? Never intentionally. It was when it was on in the background because I just didn't care. I actually would tune in if Joe Biden was going to do a back and forth with the media. I would actually tune in because now I'm intrigued to say, like, why have you gone almost 2 full months, all these executive orders, and why is the media not indignant about the fact that they are not getting the opportunity to discuss this directly with you? And then you have a press secretary whose most famous and quoted line is, I'll have to circle back with you on that. For
Yeah, but she's been out there regularly, don't get me wrong. But
sure, but not answering any questions. Like, I'll circle back with you is not an answer. I'm sorry, but it's not. And there are things that we should be asking about. What are we doing about the massive levels of children and other people trying to cross the border that are now filling up our detention centers on the southern border? That is a problem. We need an answer. We need to find out what in the world we are doing about this, because right now, whatever we're doing, it's not working. We're overwhelming these things. We got more kids in cages than we've ever had in the history of our country. We just don't call them cages anymore, but it's still cages.